just in time for a bumpy quarterly earnings release and also the biggest fan event out at Disneyland. It appears that Disney has narrowly avoided a strike that would have shut down the entirety of Disneyland, or at least Disneyland Park. They're not quite out of the water just yet. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is Disney strike expert, Mr. VashSky. Vash, how's it going, man?
Very good, very good. Thank you. And it looks like for these 14,000 unionized cast members who were looking for some reprieve, at least from union leadership, through these negotiations, looks like they might be better off too. We'll get into it.
Yep, that's right. And now, as far as a reprieve, the entire point of this negotiation was to try to keep them from taking a reprieve. Anyhow,
that's fair.
Breaking alert, tentative agreement reached on our Disney contracts. This is from the Disney Workers Rising Twitter handle here. We have fought hard for the past 4 months, and this tentative agreement would not have been possible without the strength we showed this past week with our rally and unfair labor practice vote. Disneyland Workers Rising continues. We achieved our goals, a 3-year contract that contains significant wage increases for all cast members, seniority increases, and additional premiums, as well as the retention of premiums. We also addressed issues that will make the attendance policy work better for cast members. First of all, here, subjective, significant increases is in the eye of the beholder. There's probably somebody who's going to show up and say, that's not that significant, but to each his own. It was enough to get them to approve a tentative agreement here. Vash, what's up with the attendance policy one? That's a one that you've mentioned a few times.
Yes, the attendance policy one is a particular issue. In about the May of 2022, the company announced that they were radically changing the attendance policy for cast members working at Disneyland Resort. It was kind of a more flexible point system, and they went to kind of an hourly system where they were essentially tracking how much time off or unallocated time off that you'd be accruing, and then that would be deducted. And once that was through, depending on if you were full-time, part-time, etc., then the penalties would start to kick in. And this was to kind of combat the abuse that was actually going on within the system previously when they had to staff up. You know, they had to fill, 28,000 roles very, very quickly when the parks actually came back from its 412-day closure during the COVID time period. So when that happened, then they had to necessarily reduce their standards and who would actually take these positions. And that's when it led to a lot of flagrant abuse, and the culture definitely shifted. We have a saying in IT, actually, Jonas, culture, not code. And the culture was changed, so the code had to change with it, unfortunately. And so a lot of people were like, well, this is a largely inflexible system. I have a second job, or I have family to take care of, or I'm going to school. And that was a big contentious issue for the length of this contract from, I believe, 2021 till today. So that was a big impetus on union leadership to get this right. Maybe they have. We'll have to see.
Yep. And shift work and mandatory scheduling is difficult unless everyone is full-time, which is not how it works at Disney resorts.
Right.
To continue on with personal actions like wearing our union button and signing a petition to massive 1,000 person rallies and worldwide news coverage, we have shown Disney that we are the true magic makers of the park. Now, here's one that's a little bit more controversial here. The wearing of union buttons while in cast member costuming. I can understand why Disney would not want anything that is not on the approved list worn by cast members. Of course, pins are okay, and I'm assuming Disney pins are okay because of the pin trading programs here. I can understand why they wouldn't want anything as aggressive as Mickey's fist up in the air on a cast member button. But at the same time, telling cast members that they can't wear the symbol of the union is considered union suppression activity and is therefore not okay with the unions, if not legally. Vash, do you have any additional insight on that one?
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that one. I think that the character costumes, they are obviously presented in a certain way in order to convey the story of whatever the attraction that they're next to or whatever environment that they are within. When you have something like a union button on those, that can definitely pull you out of it, at least from a guest's perspective. And then you have to wonder, Are there any other causes that could necessarily be justifiably added to that costume appendage in a similar manner? Let's say, oh, I don't know, political organizations, for example. Like, it just starts to get into that kind of gray zone where it's like, I don't know. Are we intruding on the magic
Right.
at that specific moment?
Right. I'll give you, for instance, here. Unions are a controversial thing to some people, and not being calling unions controversial is also controversial. Someone said, "How can you?" Because I have had experiences with unions in the past, and I've been a member of a union in the past, and personally speaking, it was not something that I preferred. But someone in our comment section says, "Well, if you're anti-union, you're anti-American." Well, all I would say to that is I've met people who view the unions in the exact opposite way. I'm not saying that they're un-American, but I've seen many people with that viewpoint here. So it's a sticky area here because cast members, the intention with cast members is they're supposed to be putting on a show in the same way that you wouldn't allow an actor who is playing a part of a 1930s newsboy to wear a Disney Workers Rising pin if he's in a production of, I don't know, Newsies, for instance. I've never watched that one. I don't know if it's set in the 1930s. So I can see both sides of this argument on that one. I would tend towards that myself, but the tattoos and the anachronistic hairstyles and piercings, if all of that is being allowed, then the pin is probably fine in those circumstances. We stood up to the company's unfair labor practices and showed them that we're willing to do whatever it took to get the contract we deserve. Our solidarity and victory today sends a message to workers everywhere. When we fight, we win. Remember, this is a tentative agreement. It is not final until you vote to accept it. Now, there is one thing that I don't see addressed here that I raises my eyebrow just a little bit. They did talk about safety issues in the language that they were presenting to the public. I don't see any language in this addressing safety issues. This appears to be very much worker pay and also the right to wear the button that's being addressed here. Is there something else that I'm missing?
Well, they talked about seniority increases, but no, I mean, that's kind of the one big omission here. It was kind of weird because I was trying to get information myself back here to that Park Place Studios in order to figure out what exactly were the grievances surrounding safety issues were. I couldn't find anything in my research, so I think Lou speculated that that might be included in there just to get maximum eyeballs on this issue, at least for media and press and so forth. But I do think he might have been correct in this instance.
Well, because we do bring up with the actors' unions that there was the instance of the young lady's eyes.
Right.
Her eyes being dyed by the contacts that she was wearing. That one is obviously an unacceptable workplace condition. But I haven't heard anything here that, it would be an OSHA violation and not in the acolyte sort of way. Anyways, moving on. We believe this 3-year agreement meets our needs and delivers us the wages, seniority increases, premiums, and protections we deserve. I guess protections is there as well, but I think they're referring to the union buttons at that point. But nothing is final until we have a chance to review the offer and vote on it. We will vote on the tentative agreement on Monday, July 19th. This should say the 29th at 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. on site at Disney. Exact location to be determined. In solidarity, your Disney Workers Rising Bargaining Committee. And this is representing 4 unions on site. Vash?
Yes, 4 unions, 14,000 unionized Disneyland workers there. If you note, too, on these tweets, you'll see the time that they were actually delivered. It was actually 2 a.m. on the 24th. You'll recall that the deliberation period was extended out until 22nd and 23rd of July, respectively. So I'm guessing this negotiation went late into the night, and that's why we had that update delivered at that specific time. And I'm guessing maybe Burbank got involved on this one because, I mean, we mapped it out, Jonas, multiple times on this channel and others. You had the earnings call, I believe the Q3 2024 earnings call happening on August 7th. And then 2 days after that, you had the D23 Expo. And the Expo, or the Ultimate Fan Event, is notable because it sits right across the street from Disneyland. And obviously, you're going to have international press and so forth. You're going to have stars from all over the world, actually, come and attend that specific event. And so when you're thinking about press coverage and so forth, or optically from the Disney company's perspective, they obviously want to have their best foot forward in that instance. That would have upended a lot of that. So I do wonder if Burbank made the call to Team Disney Anaheim, the managing facility of the Disneyland Resort, and said, make this happen.
Yeah, that's a very fair point, because they have been, as we've pointed out, and every time we've covered the strike, in the proxy fight with Nelson Peltz and obviously like Perlmutter, who have now cashed out of their stock, ostensibly under the pretense that they will be coming back later if the stock price continues to decline. Right now it's below 90, so it seems like their predictions were correct. As far as the proxy battle goes, they said that the parks are having record attendance, record numbers, not all of them, but they did point out profitability at several of their parks. Obviously, 70% of the income of the company is coming through parks and resorts, and a good deal of that out of Anaheim specifically. So it is a bad look for the company to point out, look at all this money that we're making, and for the workers to not be taking home a piece of that. So this is kind of an instance where they might have created this situation on their own, to broadcast to the world that they're making tons of money, and to not have their workers feel like they're getting their fair share. Now, getting that many people, 14,000 people, to say we're not getting our fair share, it's more than 14,000, as we've seen more and more unions come up. But I think Disney created this situation on their own. Is there anything we need to add in here before we move on, Vash?
The big date to watch is going to be Monday, July 29th. That's when the vote will actually take place. Also, too, we have yet to see the details of this agreement, because, like you said before in this video, Jonas, it's one thing to say significant, it's another thing to read the exact terms of this deal. So as soon as we know what those terms are, as soon as we have maybe a contract in hand, or we have a result of this vote, well, we will absolutely let you know. So definitely stay tuned to that Park Place and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah, maybe send me one if you got a copy, guys. Come on. Anyways, just throwing that out to the universe. Unless it's proprietary information, nothing illegal here, but I would like to read it. Who doesn't like to read a good union contract? Everybody loves that. That being said, I do. All right. Thank you so much to everyone for watching this video. If the Disney strike is of interest to you, maybe consider liking this video, because we'll definitely be incentivized to do another one of these if it comes up, if there's more to cover. Drop your comments in the comment section down below. Tell me that I'm un-American for supporting unions, or un-American for not supporting unions, whichever one of those is your preference. And consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.